Like, yo, find that picture of me and Stevie Wonder. Like, for real. Or get to join me and Kobe. Or, hey, can you get the shit of the time I met Chappelle and he bought me a drink? Like, I'll literally just, all these, Sarah Silverman. Like, dude, I'm so lucky to like meet. Hey, bro, we're gonna take a picture after this. I'm framing it. Where the fuck do you think it's going? Yeah, it's going to my house, bro.
Do you so being black and white, that's gotta be like the fucking coolest, I feel like. But is it scary sometimes? Like, do you feel black and white, or do you just feel one thing?
Damn, that's a good. I feel like me. I know that sounds cliche. I feel like me, but I do
like if you walk past like a barbecue spot, do you feel like part of you comes to the edge of your skin?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Though, like, do you feel some cells kind of scoot over to? And if you walk past like a cop, do you feel those same cells like kind of move to the other 100%. Side of your skin?
But the craziest part is like, because here's a fact. Whether you fucking like logic or not, or whether you're like whatever, it's like, I don't give a shit. I'm not here to argue, because you know there's people who's like, well, you'll never understand what it's like to walk down the street as a black man, and I'm like, yo, all right, why don't you just shut the fuck up? Because you'll never understand what it's like to walk down the street as a black man in a white man's body, and then wait, let me shut the fuck up. Why are we arguing?
Yeah, you're like Mrs. Doubtfire.
But that's what I'm saying. Why are we? Hello. Why are we arguing in the first place? What you're going through, I'm not denying what you're going through. Fuck all that shit. So for me, it's like, yeah, it's a crazy thing. Like, yeah, and I love it. You know, motherfuckers used to always be like, oh, you talks about this all the time. I'm like, so the fuck what, man? I don't give a fuck. I'm proud. I like it. You know what I mean? You look at motherfucker Twitter bio and there should be like, black and proud, motherfucker. Yeah. I'm biracial. I'm proud. But I definitely code switch a lot. You familiar with this term? Code switching is like if I was going into like a fucking interview or some shit. I'm like, well, hello there, sir. Yes, I'd really like this job. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Oh, excuse me. I have one call. Nigga, what the fuck, man? You got my shit? What the? You know what I mean? So it's like that. It is a part of you. It's almost like you kind of feel like two different people. But that's one thing in the culture as well. It's like anybody who's of the culture who meets me IRL, not some bullshit. Anybody who fucking really meets me, shakes my hand. They know what's up. Because it's not a thing. Why would it even be a thing? It's not a thing. It's only a thing on the internet.
It's only a thing on the internet.
Like, I've never met anybody and they're like, no, you're not. You're not. They're like, because it's not a thing. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. It's like, I definitely love to let people know who I am. So yeah, when I meet somebody, if they're like, tell me about yourself. First thing out of my fucking mouth, black dad, white mom, da-da-da. Grew up broke. It's my fucking identity. There's no identity crisis. This is who the fuck I am, and I know.
Well, it's a responsibility in a weird way. As you get older, it's like you become this piece of an important time when people are discussing stuff and they want to know what things feel like, and they want to know, like, you know. And some people, they don't know how to relate. Like, I always was envious. I always was envious of black kids growing up. Like, I grew up in like a half and half neighborhood, right? And I was real envious of black kids because, I mean, this may sound crazy, but they at least had an excuse for how people treated them and looked at them in a weird way. And it's not an excuse, but
I understand.
They and then it was like, if you were poor and white, it was like, you just fucked up somehow. It was like, what the fuck? How did you fuck up? You know? Like, you didn't.
That's like the white privilege thing, which I agree with. I think white privilege is
and there's always more to it.
Exactly.
There's always so much more to it. It's like you're just talking in like a specific moment, but I always was like, man, I feel it was because I felt sometimes a similar way that some of my black friends felt.
Yeah, but because you guys you're of the culture, bro. That's what I'm saying. Culture, to me, when I say of the culture, I'm not talking about skin color. I'm not talking about none of that shit. It's like, I grew up with Salvadorian kids and black kids and white kids and Asian homies, and we were all from the same place. We talked the same. Bro, there was white people in our clique, and it'd be like 14 black dudes, 3 white guys, and then my biracial ass, and all the white boys would say nigga. They do. Yeah. That's what they do. They would say it because the black dudes are like, hey, say that shit. Say you down. Like, that's the internet.
Well, they used to spray paint it on my legs sometimes, I remember.
What?
And I was like, this is fucking.
What the fuck?
I don't want it this bad.
But yeah, it's a crazy thing. But that's what I mean of the culture. It's like you understand that plight of like, you know, well, I mean, did you grow up poor?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then growing up broke. and longing for things and wanting things, and then having that connection. So it's like, damn, you know, like I never had the PlayStation.
Right.
Like, I mean, I did like later, but I had like when everybody was on like the PS3 and shit, I finally got my PlayStation.
Yeah.
Type shit. So
yeah.
But that's a big thing, I think. All this fighting on the internet of what is this or that, because there's no voice. There's no like ambassador of black people. Like, do you know what I mean? Or white people or this or Asian people. Like, just because one black dude or white guy or says something, it's like they don't fucking speak for an entire race of people, let alone almost what you could consider like a denomination or just a group of people in a specific place. Because also like racism in America is so different from racism in Europe or this or that or that. Like, you know, people have their different experiences with it in ways that we could never understand.
Yeah, oh, totally. Yeah, I could never understand what it's like to be something different than what I am, you know. Of course. I could try in moments, you know. I think one thing that I envied about black, and it was mostly guys that I knew. I didn't know a lot of black girls when I was a kid, but just their origin story. They had like an origin story. You know, it felt like they had like a history and a purpose and like
sounds like we're talking about a fucking Marvel movie. What do you mean?
But that's what it felt like. It was like if I don't know, black. It just felt like they had like they were coming from a place. It was obvious that they were coming like they had to make a comeback in a way.
Oh yeah,
right?
No.
The deck was stacked against them. That was it.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? Where is this going? Right. Yeah, it's 100%. I mean,
right. So they had like a fucking they had like a thing that everybody knew that was obvious, and it was like I think I always envied that a little bit. It was like I feel
why? Why would you envy?
Because I feel some of these ways, but nobody knows it by looking at me.
I get it, but that's different. But once again, that isn't really so much of a race thing. Like, even though what you're talking about, yeah, that's like fucking 400 years of slavery and oppression and fucking, 100%. Like, that's some deep shit. But what you're talking about is like the plight of man, bro. Like, you came up with these people in your own way, though. You definitely don't have the same lineage or history that goes into a lot of emotion, confusion, need for education, you know, that black folk have about themselves. And just, you know, whether it would be, you know, someone in Latin culture as well, experiencing their own thing. So, but aren't you, what's your father?
My father's from Nicaragua.
Yeah,
I would get perceived mostly as white.
But I mean, aren't you biracial?
Yeah, but I don't have a dual citizenship.
You don't need a citizenship, motherfucker. DNA. What you talking about? DNA is your citizenship. Like you're.
Yeah.
So you're mixed, technically.
Yeah.
So was your father light skinned?
No, he was dark skinned, kind of.
Welcome to the club. Shit. What the fuck you mean? Dog. But that's what I mean. So but do you perceive yourself as white?
No, people would call us like, my brother's real dark skinned, and people would call us like what do they call? Oh, Puerto Ricans when I was growing up. That was like the big thing that everybody called.
Call y'all Puerto Rican?
Yeah, they didn't have any Mexicans back then, so for some reason people latched on to Puerto
That's
Ricans.
how I thought about Maryland. There was like no Mexicans and it was just a bunch of Salvadorians.
Yeah.
And I was just eating pupusas all the time. They're so fire. But wait.
We had a group called Whites Against Mexicans actually in our town for a little bit, but we didn't have any Mexicans. So it was just like, I think they kind of roughed up this Chinese kid once.
What the fuck? Oh, okay. Wait a second, hold on. So how do you perceive yourself, or at least how did you growing up? Did you perceive yourself?
I perceive myself as white. Because I think my dad was so old, I was so embarrassed of anything to do with him that I didn't want to know about it or learn about it, you know? I mean, my dad grew up in a village where people would eat dirt. They didn't have anything to eat, and they would eat dirt and get sick and die all the time. I remember him telling me stuff about that. But I didn't care. I think I rejected him so much in a weird way because he was so much older that it was every time he was around, even though I longed to like kind of know him more, I think it was so embarrassing once I kind of became like of age where I knew what my friends, the looks on their faces.
Isn't that so annoying too? Like, no, but not even